Suge Knight is locked up on a manslaughter charge right now and serving a 28-year-long sentence. He hasn't been running the game for a long time, but back in the day, everyone in the music industry was terrified of him. From dangling famous rappers off of balconies to forcing employees to drink piss at gunpoint, today we're breaking down why everyone was so afraid of Suge Knight. Let's get right into it. Suge was born in Compton, California, and started using his intimidating size and strength at a young age. Back in 2001, he told The Guardian that he and his friends would ride the bus to wealthy neighborhoods like the Hollywood Hills and wait outside the schools to rob rich kids. He played football and ran track in high school, then played football for 2 years at the University of Nevada. Suge even made it to the pros during the 1987 NFL players' strike and played 2 games with the LA Rams. But his football career didn't last long, so Suge decided to get into the music industry instead. He got started as a promoter and bodyguard, but Suge didn't want to work for anyone else, so he started his own publishing company. One of his clients was a dude named Mario Johnson, who allegedly wrote part of Vanilla Ice's hit, Ice Ice Baby. Suge and his crew pressed Vanilla Ice a few times, trying to get him to sign over the royalty, and when he refused, Suge allegedly took it up a notch. According to rumors, Suge dangled Ice off of a hotel balcony by his ankles until he agreed to sign the royalties over for the track. Vanilla Ice later did an interview and said he was never dangled over the balcony, but when he got to his hotel room,
I walk in the room, pull the key out, and I look in there and Suge's already in the room with about 5 other guys. And I'm like, whoa. And he goes, hey, don't be alarmed, come on in. Suge did tell my bodyguards to shut the F up and just stand over in the back. Did I see guns? Yes, many of them. Suge just says, Rob, me and you, let's go to the balcony and talk. And he brings a stack of papers, about 300 papers thick. The story that has been told is that I was hung over a balcony, which has never happened. He didn't hang me over the balcony, he took me to the balcony to talk to me. I got it, you don't have to hang me over. So I signed the pieces of paper there, and it allowed him to have a few points on the record to the extreme, which turned out to be worth millions of dollars. I didn't know.
Who knows what really happened that night, but at the end of the day, Suge got exactly what he wanted. The track brought in a lot of cash. Suge also cut a deal with a drug lord named Harry Yo, who put up $1.5 million for Suge to get Death Row Records started. At the time, Dr. Dre was trying to get out of his deal with Eazy-E's label, Ruthless Records, and according to NWA's manager, Jerry Heller, Knight and his goons threatened him and Eazy-E with baseball bats and forced him to release Dre, the DOC, and Michel'le from their contracts. In 2013, Heller claimed that Eazy-E wanted to kill Suge after he took Dre and the others from Ruthless Records. Heller said he convinced E not to go through with it, but later he regretted it and said, I should have let him kill him. I would have done the world a favor. He would have done it for sure, by himself. Death Row had 2 huge wins with Dre's album, The Chronic, and Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style. And when Suge signed Tupac, Death Row became the biggest label in the game and had more talent than any rap label in history. They had a 4-year run in the 90s where the label sold over 18 million albums and profited over $300 million. Having that kind of success should make everyone happy. Working at Death Row or being around Suge was apparently a nightmare. Back in '92, Suge violated his probation after he pistol whipped 2 rappers who used a phone at Death Row without asking them first. They were 2 brothers named George and Linwood Stanley. When they used a studio phone without permission, Knight pulled out a gun and made them take all their clothes off. Then he started pistol whipping them and ended up letting the shot off too. According to rumors, the brothers were pressured by a prosecutor to accept a civil settlement that would hurt the criminal case. And later, it was revealed that Suge actually had ties to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor's daughter was signed to Death Row. Plus, Suge was living in the house the prosecutor owned while the case was going on. Back then, Suge was pretty much untouchable. Death Row was at the top of the game. Suge had the money to solve any issues, and if money wouldn't fix it, he had the violent reputation to scare anyone into doing what he wanted. A rap journalist named Ronan Rowe wrote an entire book on the rise and fall of Death Row, and according to him, Suge and his goons were always taking people in the back rooms at the office and putting hands on them. Everyone else would have to keep doing their job while they heard their co-workers screaming and crying for help while Suge stomped them out. Suge was at war with Diddy and the whole East Coast, and one time, he tried to get Diddy's address from a promoter. When a dude refused to rat Diddy out, Suge beat him with champagne bottles and made him drink his pee. That wasn't the only gross and disturbing story about Suge. One day, a Death Row employee did something that set him off, so Suge took him to the bathroom and forced him to take all his clothes off in front of a room full of goons. Then Suge sat on the dude's back and made everyone pee in a bucket. Once it was full, Suge made the dude drink it at gunpoint, then fired him from the label. Around the same time, a talent manager named Happy Walters was kidnapped at an ATM in LA. Walters managed a lot of big-time artists like RZA and Cypress Hill. Suge allegedly had issues with him. 2 days after he was abducted, Walters was found in a hotel covered with bruises and cigarette burns. He never filed a police report because he suffered amnesia from the situation, but he ended up dropping most of the rappers from his roster right after it happened. Walters isn't the only dude who conveniently forgot what Suge did to him. Gary Craig was directing the Straight Outta Compton movie, and Suge wasn't a fan of how he was being portrayed. According to court documents, Suge sent him a text that said, "I will see you in person. You have kids just like me, so let's play hardball." When Gray was called in to testify about it to a grand jury, he just kept saying he couldn't remember any details about what Knight said to him. A deputy district attorney said Gray was so afraid of Suge that he lied under oath instead of crossing him. Lying in court is a legit crime, but obviously, Suge was scarier than any punishment the judge could hand down. Everyone knows Suge was there the night that Tupac got killed, and a lot of people think he was actually involved with his death. Even his old artist Snoop Dogg has accused Suge of getting Pac killed, but Suge says he couldn't have been involved with the murder because Tupac is actually alive. According to rumors, Tupac wanted out of death row, so Suge decided to take him out instead of letting someone else make money off his name. And a detective named Russell Poole believes that Suge had Biggie Smalls killed too in order to take attention off the Tupac murder. After Pac died, death row started to fall apart immediately. Snoop and Dre both left the label, but Suge wasn't gonna let them go without a fight. After Suge got out of prison in 2001, he allegedly tried to take out Dre's new artist, Eminem. According to M's old bodyguard, Big Nas, Suge and his goons tried to press M at the Source Awards in 2001.
So when Death Row approached M at the 1999 Source Awards, M was walking to his seat, I'm standing off to the side, and M was cut off on his way to his seat, and all these guys in red shirts surrounded him. So I started making my way around to come up the aisle, and next thing I know, you see all these guys talking about Death Row, motherfucker, Death Row. Death Row, motherfucker, Death Row. Death Row, what's it got to do with him? He said, "Hey man, Suge sent him a message." I said, "Oh shit." So I got him up out of there, took him backstage.
But when they went to Hawaii, the situation got even crazier. When they touched down in Honolulu, 20 cops met him there and let M's team know that Suge was out there rolling deep. Nas said, "When we got there, vacation mode was over. We were locking and loading, putting on bulletproof vests." In 2003, Suge went back to prison after he attacked a parking lot attendant. 3 years later, he had to file bankruptcy after a judge ordered him to pay $107 million to Harry O's wife, Lydia. She was supposed to be getting 50% of Death Row's profits, but back in the day, Suge left her hanging. It turned out to be one of the biggest mistakes of his career, and the lawsuit totally ruined him. Court documents show that Suge didn't have any money coming in, and he only had $11 in his bank account. He took another L in 2008 when he got knocked out at a nightclub and went unconscious for 3 minutes. And the next year, he had to be treated at another hospital after he got attacked at a hotel party. In 2014, somebody tried to take him out for good. Suge got shot 6 times at a party in LA hosted by Chris Brown. What's wild is that Suge actually walked himself to the ambulance with 6 bullet holes in his body, which just proves how scary the dude really is. It seemed like nothing could stop Suge Knight. He survived prison, bankruptcy, shootings, beatings, and none of it kept him down. He was like hip-hop's boogeyman, but in 2015, he finally committed a crime that got him locked up for good. According to witnesses, Suge followed Terry Carter and Clee Sloan to a parking lot after they got into an argument on the set of Straight Outta Compton. Suge ended up running over both of them, and witnesses say he did it on purpose. Carter was killed, and Sloan had multiple ankle fractures and head injuries from getting ran over. Suge tried to claim self-defense, and the whole trial was a mess. He kept firing his lawyers, and in 2016, Suge tried to find out who the witnesses against him were. Luckily, the judge kept their identity secret, because otherwise, there's a good chance they would have ended up dead. The judge set his bail for $25 million, and Suge collapsed in the middle of court when he heard the news. Later, it got reduced to $10 million, but Suge still couldn't pay it. His trial got delayed after he went to the hospital for blood clots and almost died. But in 2018, it all shook out, and the judge handed down a 28-year sentence. Now, Suge is sitting in the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility and won't be eligible for parole until 2034. With all his health problems and lifestyle, it doesn't seem like Suge will ever see daylight again. He even said during the trial that he'll die in jail. Suge literally ran the rap game in the 90s. Everyone was terrified of him, and it wasn't because he was out there making empty threats. If you crossed him back then, the best you could hope for was just getting beat up. Death Row had a vibe like they were untouchable, and that all came from Suge stepping on everyone's necks who got in his way. But you can only get away with that for so long, and eventually, it all caught up to him. Now Suge is locked up and probably won't see another day as a free man.